Just as a side note before I start, this game is quite large simply because the sprite sheets that I'm using for the characters are quite large. They're about 2 megabytes. Anyway, so here we are at the main menu. There are 3 options: player versus computer, and the exit button. So the exit button's just there so you don't have to press the close window cross. Here I'll be playing against myself, so there you go. Here there are 2 options: Learners League and Duo Duel, basically terms for 1 vs 1 or 2v2, and there is a back button to bring you back to the main menu if you decide to verse the computer instead, but I'll be playing against myself, as I said. Here I am, going with Learners League, 1 vs 1, and there are 3 options. You can be a swordsman, a spearman, or a hammerman, and I'm choosing hammerman for my first character, and now you have 3 abilities to choose. So your first one, I'm just going to choose some random ones, but it's important to note that in the boxes they give you a description of what the ability does, how much energy it costs, and how long it takes for you to use it again. So here I am with my third one. Oh, yep, and that ability is for duo mode only, so if I click on the box there, it doesn't do anything. You can't choose it. So here we are again. This is choosing the second character, in which case I'm choosing the spearman, and here we are in the game. So this is a turn-based fighter type game. Similar, it's sort of a cross between the Dead or Alive or Tekken series and a turn-based RPG. Except there's no real role playing in this, it's just fighting. So here we are. There are, on the left hand side, you have the player 1 key sets, the actions in the middle that tell you which key does what, and player 2's corresponding key sets on the right. Now here on the left you'll see a terminal output here. So these basically say, yep, that's his current health, his base attack and defense, what abilities he's got, the state that he's in, and what buffs are currently affecting him. So at this rate, neither character are affected by anything. You also notice that there's 4 player outputs, even though there are only 2 players in the game. Player 2 and player 4 are essentially the tag team partners of player 1 and player 3, should Duo Duo be the current game mode, which in this case it's not. So whenever you choose Learners League, those 2 characters will all be set to 0. You also notice that there's strike and critical strike written at the top of all the boxes there, and now it says block. So those are basically the action undertaken by the character who has pressed the button. So here, this is just demonstrating how block works. As you can see, the spearman blocked the hammerman's attack and has reflected some damage back to the hammerman. And yep, you can see that through reading the stats, because looking at the actual game screen, it's quite vague. And I'd probably like to point out that the terminal outputs are not meant to be printed in-game. That'd be too much text on the screen and it'd be pretty annoying to read. Only some of it's intended to be put into the game. However, the images that I'd be loading for such things are not yet prepared, as this game is still in development. So, there you go. So now here soon I'll be demonstrating the use of a special ability, just to show you how the cooldowns work and how buffs affect your character. So for the Hammerman, I'll be using his second ability called Adrenaline Rush, and that basically gives him a speed boost. As you can see, the cooldown has now changed to 6, and he has a buff affecting him called Pumped, and that will last him for 3 turns. So for these 3 turns, every time the Spearman tries to strike him, he will miss. Or he should miss. He has a very low chance of hitting him, simply because what Adrenaline Rush does is amplify the character's speed, which increases his ability to dodge attacks. Now, this fight won't end here, but when one character dies, eventually, it'll take you back to the main menu, from which you can choose to play again or exit the game. And that is the overview of my game. So there you go.